Hey YouTube, it's Unger to the Max here, and today I'm doing two NFL scheduled predictions in one video. And the reason is because the NFL season starts up in 2 days. So I figured put two teams in one. And in today's video, it is the Houston Texans and the Atlanta Falcons. So let's start with Houston. So Houston is an interesting team, and here's why. Because Deshaun Watson only played 7 games last season before getting hurt. But when he was playing, he had some sort of connection with his receivers, from Will Fuller to DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, for God's sakes, the Texans almost went into New England and beat Tom Brady in Foxborough. You know how hard that is to do? That is extremely difficult to do. So, let me give you some statistics on Deshaun Watson. In 7 games, he had 126 completions. His completion percentage was 61.8, 19 touchdowns. He had 28 20-plus yard passes, 4 40-plus yard passes, and rushing 36 attempts at rushing. And he got a total of 269 yards, averaged 7.5 yards, and he had 120-plus yard rush and 140-plus yard rush, and had 2 touchdowns and only 1 fumble. That shows you what type of player Deshaun Watson really is. The guy is remarkable. To almost go into New England and beat Tom Brady in his own house and force Tom Brady to have to score a game-winning touchdown, which he did, that's pretty remarkable. And guess who the Patriots host to open the season in New England? Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. That's going to be one of the best matchups of opening week. If not, I could argue it is potentially the best matchup of opening week. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have kind of had this sweet spot where, yes, they haven't been able to beat the Patriots, so they've been that number 2 team. And the rest of the AFC North has kind of been on the downturn. Baltimore hasn't been very good, even though they won Super Bowl 47. Cincinnati hasn't been very good. They haven't won a playoff game in forever. I don't know the last time they did. And the Cleveland Browns, the last time they went to the playoffs was 2002. And their last good season, I would have to say, was 2007, where they could have gone to the playoffs if Tennessee had lost in Indianapolis. So the Browns were rooting for Indianapolis after they had beaten the San Francisco 49ers. But that didn't happen. So the Browns have not been to the playoffs since 2002. Anyway, like I said, Pittsburgh's kind of had that sweet spot where the rest of the AFC North has been pretty bad. But this year, the AF and none of the other AFC teams have really been that great or threatening. Granted, Denver had a little run. They made it to Super Bowl 48 and got destroyed 43-8 against the Seahawks. And they won Super Bowl 50 against the Panthers 24-10. But other than that, the Broncos haven't been that great. Chargers haven't really done anything. Chiefs, yes, they've been to the playoffs, but haven't done it, haven't won a game. For God's sakes, they lost to the Steelers. And yeah, but this year and last year, the AFC is coming, especially that AFC South. I mean, for heaven's sakes, Jacksonville went into Pittsburgh not once, but twice and beat the snot out of the Steelers. Yes, in the playoff game, the Steelers put up a lot of points, but the Jaguars pretty much manhandled them. So the Jaguars are coming. The Titans are coming. And today's team, first of two teams, the Houston Texans are coming. The Broncos I think, are on the upswing. You got the Chargers, who I think are definitely the favorite to win the AFC West. Maybe Kansas City. But I want to specifically talk about the AFC South. That AFC South is coming. You got Jacksonville coming off a division title last year. You have Tennessee, who made it to the playoffs last year. And then Houston with Deshaun Watson, who I think if he had stayed healthy for the whole season, he could have won Rookie of the Year. And the Texans probably could have made the playoffs. And they have the tremendous defense with J.J. Watt and Jadeveon Clowney on the D-line. And then the Colts are just the bottom of the barrel. I still don't get why they're in the AFC South, but whatever. So, the Texans last season played a game in New England against the Patriots. And the Texans almost won that game if it hadn't been for a late Tom Brady touchdown pass to Brandon Cooks, who is now with the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know why he keeps getting traded, but whatever. Saints never should have traded him in the first place. That was stupid of them. But anyway, so the Deshaun Watson and the Texans all went into New England and pushed the Patriots to their limit. Guess who the Patriots host to open the season at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough? That's right. Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney, and the Houston Texans. This has the potential to not only be the game of the week, because I think this is going to be the best game of the opening season of week one, even better than Falcons-Eagles. But I do think that's going to be a good game too. But I think Texans-Patriots is going to be the best game of week one. And not only do I think this game could be the best game of week one, but it could be the game of the year. All right. So I think the Texans have a chip on their shoulder because they know that they pushed the Patriots to their absolute limit, just like the Eagles did. Not except it wasn't on the biggest stage, of course. But still, the Texans pushed the Patriots to their limit, and it was only because of how Tom Brady's heroics that the Patriots won that game. So, let's see here. The Houston Texans. I actually have them starting out with a loss at New England. I'm going to change that. I think the Houston Texans will go into New England and beat the Patriots because they proved that they can hang with the Patriots. And the Patriots have a little bit of turmoil. Like Matt Patricia left to become the head coach of the Detroit Lions. Who's going to be the new defensive coordinator for the Patriots? Josh McDaniels? He should be in Indianapolis right now, not the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. He gave the Colts his word that he would be their head coach. And then goes, oh, no, I don't want to. I'm actually going to back out. No, he should not have been allowed to do that. He should be in Indianapolis right now as the Colts head coach. And Gronkowski was contemplating retirement at the end of Super Bowl 52. I don't know if Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and Tom Brady even talk to each other anymore. Brady, ended a phone interview on a radio show because questions about his trainer were brought up. So I just think there's a lot of instability in New England right now. And Brady doesn't have a lot of weapons. Yes, Julian Edelman is coming back, and he has Gronk, but Danny Amendola went to Miami. Yeah, and he has Hogan, but I'm going to give Houston the win. That's probably surprising to you, but it's my predictions. You feel free to comment if you disagree with me. I am happy to engage in a debate with you about it. I am happy to. That's part of the reason why I made this channel. Let me say this. Take a break from the schedule prediction. Thank you to all the people who have been subscribers from the beginning, or if you're new to the channel, thank you for subscribing. I really enjoyed doing this. I have enjoyed this from the beginning, even when my channel was called Wine and Gold Unger. Now to this, it's so much fun to do this. And I don't look at this as like, oh, I have to do YouTube. No, I enjoy doing this. So I wanted to put that out there. So yeah, like I said, I have the Texans going into New England and beating the Patriots week 1. But their first law, the Texans will not go 2-0. Here's why. Week 2, the Texans will be going into Tennessee to take on the Titans. This is going to be one of the closest games of the season. And like I said, the AFC South is loaded this season with three fantastic teams. The Jaguars, Texans, and Colts are up here. The Colts, they're down there. Yeah. So this is the upper echelon of the AFC South. Maybe even the AFC. I might be pushing it a little bit, but I don't know. But I think what makes the difference is that it's in Tennessee. The Titans seem to play a lot better at home than they do on the road. And because it's in Tennessee, I'm going to give the Titans the win, and that puts the Texans at 1-1. Week 3, Houston finally gets to come home and play their home opener. And they get a gift because they get to play Eli Manning, Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham Jr., and the New York Giants. Although the Giants have Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham Jr., Evan Ingram, and Saquon Barkley, and Eli Manning, I don't think it's going to be enough to stop this Texans team. The Texans have a very dynamic offense, as I said earlier, with Will Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson, heck, even Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller doesn't get enough love. He didn't have the greatest career when he was in Miami, but he seems to have found a home in Houston. So I think he is one of the more underappreciated running backs in the NFL. So, and because it's at home, I think the Texans roll in this game. It won't even be close. Houston wins it and moves to 2-1. Week 4 at Indianapolis. The Colts are the bottom of the barrel. Yes, Andrew Luck is coming back. And yes, they have T.Y. Hilton. And yes, they have Frank Gore. But they're a bottom dweller to me. The Colts have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, if not the worst. They are a terrible defense. I think Deshaun Watson will be able to light them up. So Houston wins that by a big margin, 3-1. So week 5 is the Battle of Texas. The Dallas Cowboys come to NRG Stadium in Houston to take on the Texans. And the Texans are going to have revenge on their mind. Because when they went to Dallas in 2014, right? 2014? Yes, 2014. Dallas beat them on a last-second field goal. So you know the Texans are going to have revenge on their mind. And the Cowboys have nothing. Yeah, they have Dak Prescott, but he's only had one good season. They don't have Des Bryant anymore. Jason Witten retired. Cole Beasley. Yes, they have Cole Beasley, but he's the only good receiver for the Cowboys. And Zeke Elliott, yes, he's a fantastic running back, but that Cowboys offensive line didn't do much for him last season. I think the Texans win this game and move to 4-1. Week 6, they take on the Buffalo Bills. The Texans take on the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to my fellow YouTuber, Gatorlone. He just uploaded his first video of the season for the Buffalo Bills, previewing their Week 1 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. Go check out that video. I'll post a link for it in the description. But go check out that video, his channel if you haven't. But anyway, I think the Bills, it was a fluke playoff run last season. Complete fluke. They just traded A.J. McCarron to the Oakland Raiders. Nathan Peterman is going to be their starting quarterback instead of Josh Allen, who they drafted with the 10th pick overall. And, might I add, that Buffalo traded up. Or not to the 10th pick, to the 7th pick. Might I add, that Buffalo traded up to the 7th pick to get Josh Allen. It was Arizona who traded up to the 10th pick to get Josh Rosen. So, and Buffalo doesn't have, yes, they have Shady McCoy, but nothing else. So, Houston wins that game. So that puts them at 5-1. Week 7 at Jacksonville. This is going to be one of the deciding games for the AFC South. I think Tennessee's going to be right there in hunting, but I think the AFC South is going to come down to the Jaguars and Texans. And it might even be between these two games. Like, who wins what if Houston wins both? Or what if Jacksonville wins both? So, their first matchup is Week 7 in Jacksonville. And I think even though Blake Bortles is an average QB, I think that the Jaguars' defense is pretty damn good. Okay, not pretty damn good. Really damn good. And they proved it last season. I'm just a little concerned that the Jaguars might be at such a high that they're going to have a little drop-off. But I don't think the drop-off will come in this game because they know that the Texans want to win are coming for that top spot in the AFC South. So, because of that, and because the game's in Jacksonville, I'm giving the Jaguars the win, and that moves the Texans to 5-2. Now, this is where the schedule is stupid. After playing, because in Week 7, the Texans and Jaguars will have played a very physical, tight, low-scoring defensive battle type of a game. And then the Texans have a short week to get ready for a Thursday night game at home against the Miami Dolphins. What the hell were the schedule makers thinking when they put the schedule together? Oh, let's give the Texans a tough physical defensive game in Jacksonville, and then give them a Thursday night game. What? That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard or seen. But I think the Dolphins are the bottom of the barrel, just like the Colts. I think the Texans take care of them, move to 6-2. Week 9 at Denver. I think the Broncos are going to be a tough team. Their defense is one. They still have Von Miller. Even though they got DeMarcus Ware isn't there anymore, guess who they got? Bradley Chubb. Think about that. Chubb on one side, Von Miller on the other. Pick your poison, essentially. It's just like the Texans defensive line. J.J. Watt on one side, Jadeveon Clowney on the other. Pick your poison. But I think Case Keenum is going to be an interesting fit with the Broncos. Now, I'm not sure if it's the right fit. We'll have to see. But I do think the Broncos defense will overwhelm Houston, and they will beat the Texans, putting the Texans record to 6-3 going into their Week 10 bye week. Now, coming out of the bye week in Week 11, the Texans will be going to our nation's capital to play Washington. Sorry, I can't say the team name. I hate the team name. I wish the NFL would force Dan Snyder to change the team name. But anyway, so Washington let Kirk Cousins walk. He's now with the Minnesota Vikings. And they traded with Kansas City and got Alex Smith, which means Kansas City is all in on Patrick Mahomes. But anyway, I'm not sure how Alex Smith is going to fit in Washington, because Washington has some receivers who can go deep, like Josh Dotson, for example. Kirk Cousins lit it up with him last year. So, and Alex Smith, from what I saw, at least in Kansas City, likes to just do short little passes and dink and dunks. Dinks and, I'm not sure how that's going to fit in Washington. And I think that plays right into the hands of Houston. So I think the Texans win that game and go to 6-4. Yeah, 6. Excuse me. Or, no. Hang on. Lose. No, 7-3. My bad. Okay, 7-3. And then Week 12, it's Monday Night Football at home against Tennessee. I think like I said, the Titans will win game Week 2 in Tennessee, but the Texans and Titans are going to split. So Week 12 in Houston, the Titans win that game. Or not the Titans, I mean the Texans. So 8-3. Week 13 at home against Cleveland. The Browns will be a very improved team. And I think they could potentially be a wild card team if Baker Mayfield was starting for the Browns. But he's not. Right from the get-go, and I think this was a mistake by Hugh Jackson, but right from the get-go, once the Browns traded with the Bills and got Tyrod Taylor, they immediately named Tyrod Taylor the starting quarterback, even though they drafted Baker Mayfield with the first pick overall, and he had a fantastic preseason. So, what I don't know. And since it will be Tyrod Taylor as the starting quarterback for the Browns, unless Baker Mayfield is in by that time, I think the Texans win this game and move to 9-3. Week 14 at home against Indianapolis, 10-3. Week 15 at the New York Jets. I think the Jets are actually going to be an improved team. They always have a tough defense. I think the Jets win this game and put the Texans at 10-4. Week 16 at the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the fact that it's in Philadelphia is the difference, and the Eagles win this game. So 10-5. And I think the Jaguars and Texans split. So when Jacksonville comes to Houston in week 17, the Texans win that game and put them at 11-5. Yeah, 11-5. So my prediction for the Texans is 11-5. That's good enough to get them in the playoffs. And they could potentially be, I'm not going to say they are a Super Bowl team. They are a lock to go to the Super Bowl. But if they get in the playoffs, look out. I think the Texans could, when the Texans get into the playoffs, I should say, because I think they are going to the playoffs. When Houston gets to the playoffs, they could be a dangerous team. So watch out for Houston this year. Now, on to the second team, number 2. The Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have had a tough past 2 years. Not in the regular season, but in the postseason. Super Bowl 51. Up 28-3, and you blow it and lose the game in overtime. And then, last year, you're on the goal line in Philadelphia with the potential to upset the eventual Super Bowl champions in their own building, Lincoln Financial Field. And Julio Jones falls down and can't make the catch. So how does Atlanta recover this season from those past 2 playoff losses? And this season, can they overcome their playoff demons? Oh, by the way, where is Super Bowl 53 this year? Oh, let me think. That would be Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, home of the Atlanta Falcons. So week 1, the Falcons open the season on Thursday, so 2 days from now, at the site where their season ended against the Super Bowl 52 champions, who will be starting Nick Foles, by the way, it's the Falcons at the Eagles. So the Falcons will have to watch the Eagles unveil their Super Bowl banner, which the Falcons could have had one open the season, open the season last year. But they blew a 28-3 lead. So, since the game is in Philadelphia, and the Eagles will still be riding the wave of winning a Super Bowl, I think the Eagles beat the Falcons, and the Falcons drop to 0-1. But they're about to go on a 3-game winning streak, starting with week 2 in the home opener against the Carolina Panthers. Every time the Panthers have had a good season, the next season they've had a down season. I got that from Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football on NFL Network. So thank you, Kyle, for that. But it's true. Even though the Panthers have Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey. And like Kyle Brandt said, every time the Falcons or Panthers have a good season, next season it's followed by a dud. And they came off a good season last year, so I think this season they're going to be okay. And because the Falcons are at home and Matt Ryan has a new toy to play with in Calvin Ridley, I think the Falcons win this game and move to 1-1. Week 3, at home against the defending NFC South champions, the New Orleans Saints. This could be one of the matchups this could be an early season matchup of the defending NFC South champions against the new NFC South champions. There's my little sneak preview of who I think is going to win the NFC South. But the one key to the Falcons winning the NFC South is that Steve Sarkisian has got to work on this offense because was so inconsistent last season. Nate Burleson even said it on Good Morning Football. There would be games where Julio Jones would have over 200 yards of offense. And then there would be a game where Julio Jones only got 4 passes. That's ridiculous. He's your best wide receiver, and you're only going to throw the ball to him 4 times? Are you kidding? So, I think the Falcons, that's definitely something the Falcons need to work on. But because this game is in Atlanta, I think the Falcons win it and move to 2-1. Week 4, also at home, against Cincinnati. I think the Bengals are an improved team, but in Atlanta, no way. Falcons roll. So they move to 3-1. But that 3-game losing streak comes to a screeching halt in week 5 as the Falcons will have to travel to the Steel City to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think the Falcons' defense will be able to match up with Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jesse James, Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger. Although Ben Roethlisberger has talked about, maybe I'm going to retire. So there's that. And Le'Veon Bell is really mad at the Steelers because he doesn't have the contract he wants. Regardless, though, I think the Steelers beat the Falcons and put them at, 3-2. But having lost to the Steelers, the Falcons get the medicine they need, which is a Week 6 matchup against Tampa Bay and a Week 7 matchup on Monday Night Football against New York. Both games are at home, and even though Tampa Bay is an NFC South opponent, I think the Falcons roll in both games and put them at 5-2, going into their Week 8 bye week. Coming off their Week 8 bye week, in Week 9, the Falcons go to our nation's capital to take on Washington. As I just said in the Houston part of this video, I will not say their team name. I'm just going to call them Washington because I hate that team name. And I wish Dan Snyder would change it. But anyway, I think that Washington will surprise people and they will beat Atlanta. And the reason is because Atlanta will have just be coming off their bye week. I don't know if they'll be completely focused after the bye week. And I think Washington takes advantage of that and beats Atlanta and beats the Falcons. So they go to 5-3. But they get to take on a fairly easy opponent. Well, not easy this season. Week 10 at which is week 10 in Cleveland. I think the Browns will be an improved team, but they're not nearly on the level of the Falcons, where I would call the Browns an elite team and, oh, the Cleveland Browns are a Super Bowl favorite. No way. Maybe the Browns are a sneaky good team, are a good team, and somehow snake their way into the wild card. But maybe that's a little pushing it. Maybe that's pushing it a little bit. But I think Atlanta wins, and they move to 6-3. Week 11 at home against Dallas. Like I said with the Texans schedule, the Cowboys have nothing. They only have Cole Beasley, Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott. No, that's nothing to me. So I think the Falcons win and move to 9-3. Week 12, Sunday Night Football at New Orleans. I don't think the Falcons are going to sweep the Saints. And since I have the Falcons beating the Saints in Atlanta, I'm giving the Saints the win and playing the Falcons at 9-4. Week 13 at home against Baltimore. This is going to be a tough game for the Falcons. The Ravens have a very good defense with guys like Terrell Suggs, C.J. Mosley, Marlon Humphrey. I think the Ravens have a good defense, but their Achilles heel is their offense. Other than the Super Bowl run that they had where they beat the 49ers in Super Bowl 47, Joe Flacco's been an average quarterback. Granted, Lamar Jackson is going to be their starting quarterback down the road. But I think the Falcons are just on a different level than Baltimore, so the Falcons win that game. Putting them at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-4. No, 7-4. There we go. 7-4. Week 14 at Green Bay. 7-5. I just don't think even though it's early December, I don't think the Falcons are going to be able to handle the Packers in Lambeau in the cold temperatures. So 7-5. 7-5. Week 15 at home against Arizona. Arizona will probably be starting their Sam Bradford, but I think the Falcons are on a different level. So 8-5. Week 16 at Carolina. I had the Falcons beating the Panthers in Atlanta earlier, but they're not going to sweep them. So the Falcons lose this game 8-6. 8-6. I think I had a mistake somewhere. 9-6, rather. Yes, 9-6. Week 17 at Tampa Bay. Falcons win that game 10-6. I think that's good enough to get in the playoffs. I think it's good enough actually to win the NFC South. Will it be good enough for home field advantage? No. So the Falcons will maybe a home game in the wild card, but other than that, if they have a deep playoff run, it'll be on the road. Do I think the Falcons will be the first team to host the Super Bowl and play in it? No. I don't think the Falcons are going to get there. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, punch that like button like a UFC fighter. And until next time, this is Unger to the Max saying salute to all of you. And this is go Cavs, go Blue Jackets, and go Browns, and go Jags. Unger to the Max, signing off.